Yeah.
So the ordinance reads that it's just 5 appointments by the mayor,
Okay.
so I believe we can have both.
Oh, okay, I was in like.
I looked into
And I
it.
forgot because he was appointed.
Yeah, because we looked into,
Yeah,
and the ordinance actually.
majority of the time we usually have 3 people here, actually.
Well, then this is fantastic.
Yeah, sometimes 4, but I think that 4 is the most, I think, right, Rob? I think usually we had like 3 people here for the board. Some, there's, I think there's 4, I think.
On their.
Too much outreach.
Yep. That's good.
Okay.
Cause there's, is there 5 people assigned and 2 alternates?
Okay. Moving that slowly over to. Kind of like a current restoration, but it's pretty ordinary. It's all natural plants. They're not gonna hold. Right. Yeah. This is interesting. Providing a home for the kids.
Oh, yeah. He
so-
just printed this out and gave it to us. It's just a help. Yeah, it's just a help.
This is back here. You know, the same old thing, they follow it, how do they plan, they don't get. Yeah. We almost there,
Be busy training yourself here and helping the person next door to train too.
He spent.
Or did
No,
Judy?
luckily,
Judy's
yeah,
got that pretty
Judy got
taken care of.
Handle that. I am
Didn't know
training
if you were,
myself.
I don't know if she walks over or I don't
The
even know
deputy
who the,
clerk.
I don't know who the part-time now is over there.
Her name is Courtney Delwalk.
Okay, I don't know if she walks over here like, you're, you got a question.
Luckily, you know, the guys over there are pretty well trained. They can manage most of the office stuff, but they know I'm right across the hall if something would come up.
For tonight. This is what's.
Each
Come
one.
down here, it's down here for things on several occasions.
They're on some of them.
And then once they.
No, you don't do that. There's 2 more, just water.
One of those two, very, very.
I just was thinking. Cause if we ever have to, depends what they're together, we have to send anything. What's that?
They'd have to double check because they were all just
Because I was gonna
recent.
say, if we had to send this to a different committee ever, would that be?
We'd have to look at that if they have to recuse themselves. Right?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just thinking, well, different things that could happen.
No, you don't, should.
They do have a way of doing that as a reason. And then that clock keeps falling behind, so whenever your phone says 6, by all means.
Oh, no.
And then also, I'm always interested.
According to my phone, it's 6, so. Call to order, roll call, please.
Andy Shoemaker,
Here.
Keith Lodo,
Here.
Jerry Kep,
Here.
Alderperson Joe Tillman,
Here.
Alderperson Jack Abbott.
Here.
Good form.
Thank you. Approved minutes of June 20th, 2022 meeting. The packet that was just sitting here on the table, it's way at the back end. So it wasn't mailed to you, the minutes.
I'm moving to.
Did you say you moved to accept?
Yes.
Okay, we got a first, we got a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, I vote. Number 3, citizen comments. Do we have any citizen comments today? Going once, going twice, moving on. Number 4, request a variance from Lauren. Okay. Lauren J. Ellis, 740 Meadow Lane, parcel 251, 1216 to 2331-035 Mayville, Wisconsin 53050. Variance request is to add a 10 by 20 storage building on the aforementioned property without a driveway. Reference section 430-25, accessory uses and detached accessory structures, garages of the city of Mayville ordinances.
Were you here last year asking for the same thing? Somebody from Middle Lane one.
That's Nicole,
Okay.
the baker. She's gonna be probably the next one when they decide what they're doing.
Well, didn't we do her 2 years in a row? Do that?
Yeah, we did that a while ago and then they never got around to building it. Then she went through it again and
Okay, all right. I just was wondering, it seemed
Yep.
familiar.
we've had other ones that they, overruled having a driveway too, so.
Yeah,
And I've mentioned before about putting this through, and maybe eliminating that out of the ordinance, but there were certain people that were adamant about keeping it on there, so.
I would think we'd want to consider that frankly, because it seems like every year that I've been on there, we've done a couple of them.
Yep.
And it's maybe the most popular thing to come up here for.
Yep,
I mentioned it to the mayor also that really should relook at, so maybe one of our aldermen can.
We can still approve it
Oh, yeah.
outside of that.
Yep.
So maybe we should just leave that in for an option, depending on different situations.
The reason it was on an ordinance in the first place, just in case if you don't know, I guess back in the day, people were building tool sheds and working out of their own tool and die stuff and all that, or as a business. And they don't want that.
Yeah, I mean, I had a conversation with the mayor about this. This is actually the ordinances. Needs to be rewritten. It's
Yeah.
worded extremely poorly. And first of all, just. Part of what I do all day. In my reading of this, part of the variance request should be even to have a 200 square foot structure, because if you go to C, it only allows for one utility shed of 144 square feet. Right, the 200 square foot applies to garages, not utility sheds. Whether or not you guys want to consider that, and this is, neither here nor there, but I mean, it should be addressed. And honestly, I looked through the history on these and that they're constantly just kind of rubber stamped through, and I think if that's the route that we want to go, then we should be recommending an ordinance change, because the idea of the variance is that it should be difficult to get, and typically in every place that I've ever worked, like 99% of them are denied.
You're referring, it's rare that the variance is denied. So it's,
Sometimes they change up a little bit, a fence or something like that, around a tree or something, but. Yeah.
we've approved a bunch of these, just like this.
I didn't realize that. I just, from my standpoint, like, I think that's going to be considered, because I had a conversation with my village administrator about this yesterday. And our attorney, whoever has been used as a consulting attorney, constantly defending places, municipalities for just slamming variances, because they're not really supposed to be easy to get. That's the whole point of having the restriction in the first place. And typically, making the argument that you're facing an unnecessary hardship is pretty difficult, because if you look at the state statutes basically says, the hardship exists only if the property owner shows that they would have no reasonable use of the property without the variance. So I think if the idea is that we're gonna approve these things, then we should just really be subject to a revision or amendment to the ordinance. Otherwise, why have it there?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna slap it through every time.
I agree. The ordinances are there for reading.
Well, sometimes, there may have been a great reason at the time, and sometimes it's, something that's passed. I don't know the history of this one. I wasn't around long. I do know.
That's just what Bob Smith said every time we have one of these.
yep. I've been trying to get it out of there for a while. So.
Yeah, and he's the one that wanted to keep it on, so maybe we can have,
I had a conversation with the mayor regarding this, because I think that
yeah.
the idea that you're gonna make people come in and you're just gonna say, this is the requirement, but you don't have to meet it as long as you pay us $200 is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And he was receptive to that.
Yeah, when I talked to him too, it sounded like that.
So what is the suggestion? Redoing that? Just reaching the square footage? Or driveway?
Well, that's really not up to this.
Yeah,
No, I
that's
just
up to you
think that
guys.
maybe recommend
Council,
council that we
yeah.
revisit this section and maybe have a conversation about what you actually want the requirement to be,
Yeah,
so that we're not just proving all kinds of things that really don't meet the requirements, because once you start doing that, you open up a can of worms where you really have, now you have no right to deny anybody, because
Yeah.
you're slapping them all through anyway. That's right.
does anybody want to make a motion?
I'll move that we allow this variance.
Okay, you got a first, any seconds?
The question,
He's gonna allow it,
oh, I second that.
okay? Any more discussion?
I do have one concern. And the construction of what's being built. There's a picture showing that the construction of a 20 or 10 by 20 foot shed. What is the construction of this shed? What does it consist of?
It is consisted of treated plywood for the bottom, all treated underneath. And then it's all gonna be lumber all the way around.
So it's gonna be framed.
And it's gonna be a frame. It's being built by the Amish. And they're gonna be able to drop it down. And then it's gonna be painted the same color as my house. And it's gonna have a copper roof on it.
So it does have a floor also?
It has a floor. It will have 2x4 treated plywood floor.
So there won't be nothing from the shed to the ground, then that road. and-
It'll be raised underneath it. Or it'll have two, skids that are underneath it that it's gonna go on top of gravel.
So nothing can get under the
Correct.
shed.
Any other questions?
And why are you wanting overhead door instead of sliding doors?
Just easier to get in and out. I'm gonna be getting a lawn tractor, be able to pull it in and out. I've got a kayak that I wanna hang off the side of it, all my garage tools and stuff. I've got a 20-foot ladder that I wanna hang in it, and all my other ladders that I have for it. And it's just the ease of getting in and out of it. And then in the winter time, I can put a boat, I got a small 14-foot boat that I can put into it and bring it in and out. Also,
Can you take roll call, please?
Yes. Alderperson Lodall,
Aye.
or I'm sorry, not alderperson, Mr. Lodall,
Aye.
Mr. Cap,
No. Nay.
Mr. Schumacher,
Aye.
Alderperson Tillman,
Nay.
Alderperson Abbott.
I think I'm gonna have to abstain.
That didn't work.
Is that left, I
Well,
don't know.
he seconded and then said name, so.
Yeah, he can do that.
Yeah, so I don't
Yeah.
think it removes the motion.
Yeah, it doesn't remove, because people could change their mind during, and some people just want to bring it to get talking about.
Just gonna put both the city of Maple ordinance for the zoning board of appeals and just see if it has anything.
Well, a lot of it might depend on if you voted no because you didn't like the construction method. I don't think that's part of the question here.
Right, because if they're gonna change it's gonna go to change an ordinance, then it would be okayed.
Well, let's
But that could take a
forget
while.
about changing the ordinance for the purpose of this. We were asked if it would be okay for him to build his shed without a driveway. It's as simple as that.
Yeah,
And if we're gonna say no to it because we don't like the construction methods, that does not fit the reason for this meeting.
The square footage of. Right.
It's only 10 by 20. It's from here to where
That's
Jack is.
200 that's 200 square feet, to
Right,
56
yeah.
square. feet.
my neighbor 2 doors down has even a little bigger one in his backyard. And I see a lot of them around the city also that have actually bigger ones that are pretty decrepitated and falling apart and are eyesores. Mine is gonna look just like my house. I own Jack Omar's old house and I've been here for 18 years and I put a lot of heart and soul into it. I don't want anything that is not gonna look like an eyesore in the back. I think it's gonna enhance my backyard. I have no problems with any of my neighbors with it. I have tree stumps back there which are gonna be removed for it.
What are you finding? Anything?
Pursuant to parliamentary procedure, in the event of a tie vote, the motion always fails because an affirmative vote is required to pass it.
That's what I would thought. Cause you could bring it back in the same meeting, only if you're on the, you can bring it back if you're on the winning side, but losing side, you can't. So if you're
But yeah,
tie,
it
then you
it
can't.
needs the affirmative vote. So since there's not a majority in the affirmative, the motion fails.
Yeah, so the people that say no, they could bring it back if they wanted to during this meeting.
No, nobody can. Nobody won or lost. It was a tie.
Yeah, but no, the one that voted, the one voting no, then that's the winner because of the tie,
No, there's no winner.
right? You just said the tie then
When
goes
it's, when
to
it's a
negative.
tie, the motion fails
Fails.
because you need the majority affirmative to vote to approve it.
Sure, so nobody can bring it back. It's done.
Right, it's, mhm.
Sorry.
Sorry,
No,
no, it's 2-2-1, so
It did not get a
you
majority
didn't get a majority.
confirming it, so it's denied for parliamentary procedure.
Talk to your alderman to see if they can change the ordinance.
Jack. Yeah, help me out on this.
Right now, again, I'm abstaining because of my relationship with you.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So I'm out of $200. Thanks.
Number 5, request a variance from PCG LLC owners Lindsay and Andrews. Yes, for 11 North School Street parcel 251, 1216, 231, 14-049, Mayville, Wisconsin. Various requests is to erect a fence in that rear yard, which would cross property lines on both sides. Reference section 430-92, height and location of screening and fence of city ordinances. Does anybody have any questions for owner or Rob or anything?
Have you discussed, I understand you own the house on one side?
Correct, so on one side, if you look at the aerial view, is that drop off to the post office. And then on the other side is our.
Have you had a discussion with the post office about this? The idea of, well, when I read this, the first thing I interpreted, so it isn't really two pieces of property that the apartments want. It's one, and the other piece of property is your house over here on this side.
Yeah, it's got two addresses, but it's not.
When I looked at that, I was assuming you were saying you didn't want to have a trough down the middle of your yard for the dogs, and I can understand that, that's perfectly logical.
What we don't want is that the area in between the two. Where if you look at the. So it would be the area to the north. There's an existing fence there. For the 19 North School Street address, the White House. There's an existing fence, all we wanted to do was tie into that existing fence instead of having 3 feet in between that's gonna create, you know, an unsightly alleyway in between the two properties.
Correct me if I'm wrong, this is the old Backstreet Cafe building.
Yep, and then the house right next door that's up the hill a little bit.
You don't live there, you own
Correct.
the apartments,
Yep, and the house.
you own the house as well.
The 19th.
Yep.
Yeah, this house.
You know,
Yeah, you wanna go right up to the border of it, but that doesn't mean you're gonna always own it.
You know, it's an interesting thing too, when you look at the post office, the way it was built, I don't know exactly where the lot lines are there, but it sure crowds that building. It's-
Yeah, we actually, in order to do the build out for the house, or for the back street, we had to get an easement in order to do it. We have an easement. And there's also one on file. For 19 North School Street.
This is your backyard?
Yep, that would be the back. The.
I see.
The-
That fence now, the way it looks here, the people on the other side owns the fence,
And that's,
because it's put up
that's
backwards.
them, they own both houses, they own
They own-
the.
They own
Yeah.
the front and the back. Okay,
The side.
yeah.
Well, the side, the rear would, because of the way the bushes are, the rear would not have that 3 foot.
According to this, if they own these apartments, they own the next door property.
Yeah, on this picture,
Not back here.
Yeah.
This one.
this one right here, this picture.
The rear would be 3 feet.
So the fence is.
This is the post office, here's the 11,
I didn't
13.
get that picture, but
It was sitting right here on the,
I know the property.
yeah,
They're all-
yeah, it's right there.
Right to your left, Rob handed those out.
It's in this packet.
It was 2 pieces of paper, right?
There's
Oh,
only got one.
okay, I didn't have
You
enough.
guys want-
I didn't have enough.
want to,
Yeah. You have anything to add,
I
Rob?
don't need,
Not the fence on the north side and the south side are not on their property, so. And my job is to deny it per ordinance, so that's, I denied it and it's here and that's your decision to. They have the right to appeal, they appealed it, comes to you guys make that decision.
You denied it for what reason?
What's that?
You denied it? for-
I denied it because it's against the ordinance. The ordinance
Property.
supposed to be 3 feet from the property lines.
Oh, I see.
They're not even on their property, they're off the property on the south side and the north side. And you're supposed to claim hardship, but I don't see any hardship. So,
so on the south side, that building, the edge of your building, that is the property line.
Technically, yeah.
Okay.
But like I said, we have the easement.
The temporary easement for construction.
No.
On both sides, you have one on the post office side too.
For the easement right now is on the north side, you own both properties. So
When we
you apply an easement,
well, when we originally applied for the easement, we did not own the property, we purchased the property after the easement.
Well, you can purchase the post office too.
There's another house on the corner.
We're good.
But even if they own the one there, that doesn't mean they're gonna always own that.
Is that a rental property?
We do that.
Both of them, all of it.
I mean, I don't even know that it's relevant whether or not they own it. It doesn't-
Yeah.
There is no hardship.
The ordinance is 3 feet. Does anybody want to make a motion?
Make a motion to deny.
Yeah, we got a motion for deny. Do we have a second on that motion? I'll second that. Any more discussion?
I am frankly concerned about it not being on the property as well. You're over the lot line on both sides, and I'm uncomfortable with that, I will say that for sure. I may have been a little more comfortable if you're planning on building it on the lot line and not requiring the 3 feet, but.
What we're trying to do is, make a space for we allow dogs at the basket. We're trying to make a space for them to not have to bring it out onto the front of the property.
I appreciate that.
So if there's,
Yeah.
if we need to move the gate to the lot line in the back, or to move the fence line to the lot line in the back, we could do that.
Still, you would still have to come back here for that, wouldn't you?
Yeah. I don't think you can go for variance twice. And the same thing. Never experienced that, I guess, but
It wouldn't have been posted with the suggested change, so it would have to, we couldn't do it here today.
And I think if you do it right on the lot line, then you're opening up that for everybody else then, just for the driveway.
unless they visit that ordinance and get it
Yeah.
changed, like Joe was talking about. Which is something I talked about in the past.
I don't remember.
And I think there's room for that discussion to happen. at some
Yeah.
point.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't know that, I don't see there's any justifiable hardship in requiring they need to set that requirements.
They could be,
I do have one question, and I think Joe might be able to answer this. Because I know we're not the only town that requires a setback of 3 feet. What exactly is the reason for that?
It varies from place to place to place, so what the reasoning was when they decided on it, I have no idea. I mean, multiple places that I work at require 0. I've been places that require a foot, some 18 inches.
yep, the reason I was told that was always there is because you don't get along with your neighbor, right? So you have 3 feet to maintain your fence. Because if you put it on a lot line and you go on a neighbor's property, you're trespassing. You can't paint your fence, you can't maintain it.
Maintain the.
That's the reason the
3 feet gives you the width of a push lawnmower, basically.
Yeah, that's the reason the 3 foot is there.
But the other side.
Most people get along with their neighbors, it's never an issue, but you always
That can
have,
change.
you always have
I've got
problems.
one neighbor that didn't ask them to do anything, they built a fence right on the lot line.
Yeah.
And I didn't say a word.
And there you go.
They didn't say a word.
So,
When I did my fence, I built it 3 feet off the lot line, make sure that there was maintenance space. I don't.
One across the street.
Anybody else have any discussion? Should we take roll call on not,
Motion to deny.
what's that?
Motion to deny.
Motion to deny. That's what the motion is, you guys, to deny, so.
Alderperson Tillman,
Aye. Oh, I'm sorry, nay.
So you want-
Oh, sorry, the motion was to deny. Aye.
So an ayes, yes to deny,
Yeah, sorry.
that's why I was trying to make sure everybody.
Sorry.
I get mixed up too.
all right,
It's a 3-foot setback.
Mr. Shoemaker,
Aye.
Mr. Lodahl,
Nay.
Alderperson Abbott,
Aye.
and Mr. Kep.
So
The
Motion
motion
to
carries, the
deny.
motion is denied, the
4-1.
request is denied.
Yes. Sorry.
Okay, thanks for your time.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned at 6:25 or whatever time you want.